Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to the astrology series here with Andy Hoffer Coaching. Today we have Kenya Riley, who's going to be co-hosting, and we're going to be talking about the Aries Libra North and South Node axis pair. So even if you're not a part of this pair yourself, come and watch because we are going to, like, you have people that you know who are in this pairing. So it would be nice if you could just see what's behind the curtain, see what they're going through. But before I welcome her, before we get into it, before we actually get into it, I do want to do some housekeeping stuff. And just remind you guys that the series, we have August 13th for the Taurus Scorpio pairing, August 27th for the Gemini Sagittarius pairing, and future dates for Cancer Capricorn pairing, Leo Aquarius pairing, and the Virgo Pisces pairing are still TBD, but keep coming back because we're going to get those scheduled ASAP. Okay. So just a brief introduction to myself. I'm Andy Hoffer, and I have been a conscious manifester since the first grade. However, we're manifesting every single day of our life, even when we are in the womb, okay? But consciously, I stepped into that role since the first grade. I've been a manifestation coach since 2019 and helping people really align themselves with what they want to be, what they want to do, what they want to have, so that they can get all of the things that their heart desires. Today, this series, we're really diving into the astrology aspect of manifestation. And in that, it is the North and South Node pairing. Generally, we talk about our sign. I'm a Capricorn, but we go a level deeper. And Kenya's going to come up and talk about all of that wonderful stuff in the show notes for those of you on YouTube land. And for those of you who are here, we're having several different links. One, if you don't know your North Node and South Node pairing, there's a link there to go to my site. You can register to come live to these master classes with me and Kenya. If you can't make it, still sign up because they come straight to your inbox. Or if you need to schedule a discovery call with me, with Andy, there's going to be a link for that. And there's also going to be a link to schedule with Kenya for an astrology reading of your North and South Node pairing. Yay! Okay, guys. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Kenya.
I'm here. It's so good to be here. It's good to be here again. And if anybody looked at our first session, I guess, where we really dug deep into North and South Node, that was really exciting. So I'm really excited to now get in more specifically to the energies. And today we're focused on Aries and Libra. So just to, again, if you're first time kind of watching this, who I am, as Andy just said, I'm an astrologer, but I really consider myself an astrology guidance coach. That's kind of how I title it. I've been doing astrology since I was a little girl, but really in the simplest way, like just horoscopes. But I really did understand kind of the simple parts of it, but I didn't really dig into learning more about astrology until I had my own kind of life crisis. And I say that because there's a lot happening. Before we pushed record and got on here, we were talking about the energies of the world. And I just think it's important for us to recognize that, because this is information that could be really, really helpful for you. So that's what got me on my personal journey. And then I started doing readings once COVID hit, because it became pretty obvious what was happening cosmically. So yeah, that's kind of and during the day, I'm also an assistant professor. I'm an assistant dean of wellness and student development. So this wellness work, I really look at astrology as a tool for healing and for wellness and for well-being and for growth, and not for predictions. There are predictive astrologers. I don't use astrology for that. No shade against it. It's just not what I do. I really help people discover more about themselves and how to go about navigating this particular assignment of being on Earth, which is a lot these days. So that's me. And I don't know. Should we start? I can't remember. I'm like, should we get started, or I'm going to pass the mic back to you?
Yeah, Yeah, let's go over quickly a quick recap of North and South Node. So, my understanding, South Node, comfort zone, North Node is what we're trying to stretch into. And that's like my absolute jam in terms of manifestation. So, I just want to make sure that we have the foundation. But if you want more information on this, please do, like Kenya said, go to our first video where we lay it all out. But let's just do a quick little recap on what they are so that we can start to tie that into the Aries and Libra pairing.
Absolutely. So you just said it in a really beautiful nutshell. Our North Node is really kind of our where we're trying to move toward in this lifetime. And it's important to say in this lifetime because it's a process. It's not a situation where, oh, next week I'm going to hit my North Node. That's not how it works. It's really everything, all the relationships, all the conflicts, all the wins, all the beautifulness, all of that is working energetically for us to fulfill this growth, expansive space that we're trying to attempt in this. So that's our North Node is, I call people, it's your North Star. It's where it's the direction, it's the compass, which is why it lines up so nicely to manifestation because we're constantly, like you said, I'm so glad you said that, we're always manifesting, but consciously so. The North Node can really help us be a little bit more intentional when we really understand the calling here. Whereas the South Node, sometimes you'll hear like the South Node gets the bad rap, like the South Node is the bad guy. And I really want people to know the South Node is your comfort zone for a reason. It's what you mastered in a previous iteration of being a human, or the soul has really done a lot of wonderful work. Hence why it becomes your comfort zone in this lifetime or what have you. But because the South Node is more of the comfort zone, we're learning how do we start releasing some of the aspects, particularly the shadow energy of that South Node. And when I say shadow, meaning that part of that energy that just doesn't really grow us, but kind of keeps us in one place. And so the big part of all of this is how do I integrate the strengths of my South Node so that I can move toward my North Node. So I'm releasing those shadow things, but I'm moving toward the North Node, which is teaching me about fulfillment and abundance and growth. And so we still need to use our South Node because that's our that comfort zone is giving us a little bit of stability to a certain degree. But we also have to learn what to release. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I do want to emphasize that, it's not the bad guy, the South Node. And also, if we don't fully extend into our North Node, that's also not bad. This is a process. This is about knowing more about yourself and how you operate under certain situations, under certain circumstances, and how you can better navigate things by seeing, oh, this is what I can lean into. This part of me is not bad. Like, I'm going to use myself, the Capricorn of me. That is not bad. It's what I've mastered. But we do want to lean into the way that we can expand the way that we see the world, the way that we expand like our sight, our mind, our consciousness. And that's a lifelong process. So it's not something that you arrive at and you're like, hey, I'm here. And if you don't do that, it's like, oh, you're doing it wrong. So
Right.
that's not the case at all.
Right.
So this week we are leaning into Aries Libra, the first of the pairing. And so the North Node in Aries, what I've got down here is your soul is here to develop courage, confidence, and trust in yourself. This lifetime invites you to stop waiting for permission and start boldly pursuing what you know you're meant to do. Your greatest growth comes every time you choose authenticity over approval.
Woohoo. That is it. So yeah, let's start with Aries as our North Node. And Aries kicks off the zodiac, which is really important. Like Aries is the one. And if you can remember the one. The one is it's not a coincidence. Okay. That's the reason why Aries comes first, because it's the energy of the I, the energy of the I am. And I tell people, if you have an Aries North Node, the quote you want to live by is my voice matters. I matter. Because with a south node in Libra, you have been more comfortable with the we. I'm going to be the
Mm.
diplomat. Let's be fair. But the north node is saying, no, 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 we can do that. That's fine. But your voice matters. And so a north node in Aries is really attempting to teach us a self actualization, a self initiative, a self trust, not just, not a selfish, which I know in our society we have made when we lean into self to mean as though we're neglecting others in some way. And that's not true. That's a conditioning that's been put on us. It is
Mm.
critical for all of us to be looking at what, no matter what, if it's a north node or whatever, look at where Aries is in your chart, because that is the part, that is where we are trying to show up and really use our voice. So the north node in Aries, that's the big push. If you can remember the mantra of, how do I stand for myself? How do
Mm.
how do I believe in myself? And how do I do things that make sure I make it clear to myself that my voice matters, not necessarily to everybody else. And that's the trickster. That's the trickster, because a south node in Libra is going to make you think you need everybody else to be okay with you. And
Hey.
that's actually the complete opposite of what the soul is asking. Can we make sure you know first? And so initiative, and I call it self-fullness or healthy selfishness, meaning I'm not neglecting people, I'm not, putting others down, I'm not, doing all that, but I am really understanding what I need to do for myself to make sure I experience these desires I have inside. So yeah, that is, and it's also really getting you to be a more decisive, and to go. Aries is an energy of leadership. It's wherever we have Aries in our chart, that's where we're being asked to show up more as leaders. And so with a north node of Aries, it can feel like leader, like, what, you want to be a leader? Like, I mean, that can feel very like, are you sure? But inside there's this quiet thing that knows, I know what I could do with this. It's always there. So leadership, authentic leadership is another really, and I really emphasize authentic, because we have to be careful with Aries. Aries, one of Aries' shadowy things is ego-y stuff. So
Mm.
you've got to really make sure that this leadership is coming from self and self-understanding and an authentic way of wanting to lead others. Yeah.
One of the greatest quotes that I've ever heard, and I'm totally going to butcher this. I'm not like a being able to quote people and like, who was it when they said it, but it's really about taking care of yourself. Like, even think about, what, screw the quote. When you're on a plane and you got to put the mask on first, like, you have to take care of yourself. And it's not selfish. Like, I'm so glad you brought that up. It's about really presenting yourself as somebody who knows, as an authority, rather than somebody who's just trying to figure out what's like the zero sum game that like everybody's going to win in this. It's like sometimes you got to win. Sometimes that's the best outcome for the situation. And that conditioning we have of, yeah, I can't put myself first because that's selfish, that 100% is like backwards, because the minute you start putting yourself first, everyone else rises with you. And it's
Yeah,
such a paradoxical way to think of it. But, when you take care of yourself, you're taking care of everyone else around you.
exactly. That is the main thing right there. When I work with clients who, because I do coaching as well, and when people are struggling putting themselves first, I'm like, you realize you're causing more of a detriment to the very thing that you think that you're saving or protecting, because what people need is you. They need you in your highest sense of self. So yeah, it's probably one of the biggest gifts. When you have Aries, it's funny because both my son and my husband have a North Node Aries. So I see this in lifetime every single day of the struggle bus of how do I allow myself to fully be seen and to do it without always wanting first somebody else to go first or to make sure that others are okay. Living with people who have Aries North Node, it's been very interesting for me to kind of watch it because and then having a child, so to try to help him guide him through this. And he's 20, he's not a baby, but he's still just starting this adult process, which is where you're just starting, right? Adulting is, woof, there's a lot of things coming at you. So yeah, but you said it really, really well. And I mean, that's kind of the body of the Aries North Node.
Absolutely. And when I talk to clients, especially when it comes to manifestation, um, allowing other people to really run the show for you, that is disempowering. That is very disempowering to your dreams. That is very disempowering to your goals. I mean, just in general, it's not um, it's not the most ideal. However, there are some signs where, allowing others is a part of the manifestation. But for Aries, it's very much you have to step into that command position. You have to step into that number one role and
Yeah.
learn to guide. That is really like a big, big
Well,
component
because
of
it's
manifesting.
leadership energy. And I try to, because this can be, everybody's North Node is tricky. Okay. No
Yeah.
matter what, it's going to be tricky because you lean more in the opposite. That's it. That's to me why I just love astrology so much because it finally gives you the grace to have complexity and to have paradox and to have contradiction because it can feel it when you don't have reference for all of this. It's like what the entire like what why what is going on, and it's like, yeah, what is going on? And that is the question that you're constantly being asked. What is going on? And for you, and not what is going on for everybody else. What is going on for you? Not what
Yeah.
is wrong with you, not what's the problem with you, but what's just going on with you. And, Aries, the North Node, is particularly interested in what's really going on with you, like for sure, like you and who you understand yourself to be. Most people who have Aries North Node internally fully know who they are. Okay. They feel it, they sense it, but they struggle with letting that out and letting
Mm.
that really be implemented and activated on the external. Aries is what's considered it's fire elementally. So I say this too, so people who have an Aries North Node think about what fire does. Fire blazes. Fire is hot. Fire gives light. Fire's passion. So that's another thing to think about yourself, and when you're going about a goal or going about a dream, understand you're going about the fire inside of you. That's literally what Aries is attempting to get you to do. So it's really powerful. Aries North Node is powerful. I think people who come here, because it's no joke to be in a society that conditions us completely away from our sense of self, to come in and have the audacity to say, no, 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 my voice actually is king or queen or whatever in this space. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let us transition into the energy that they've mastered, the South Node in Libra, because in that way we can start to see why the areas might be a little bit challenging to get to. So this is what, if your South Node is in Libra, you naturally excel at creating harmony, understanding others, and maintaining relationships. However, your comfort zone may be putting other people's needs ahead of your own or avoiding conflict to keep the peace. Your challenge is to keep your compassion without losing your own voice.
Libra South Node, or people who have a lot of Libra placements, even people who are a Libra Sun or a Libra Moon, Um, it is a very it's a beautiful energy because of the harmony that it is after, but the shadow of it is everything you just said, and because of this sort of depletion of self, almost creating an invisibility of self can be what happens a lot of times with people with Libra South Node. They may be comfortable being in the invisible, just being not only just under the radar, but in fact, just kind of not, I mean, not seen to a certain degree. Libra energy is technically, if you have a Libra sun, I know we're talking about South Node, but I want people to really kind of connect the energy of Libra. The sun is technically in what it's called its fall when it's in Libra. The sun actually, the light of Libra, Libra is not about the me. Libra is about the we. It is about how do we relate? How do I connect? How do I create a relationship that's harmonic, like that's not just there, but that's one that is impactful and lovely even. And how do I connect it in a way that creates a sense of justice and a sense of equity and reciprocity? So Libra energy is the judge in the right way, not the judge of the crit, but I'm going to set things so that we can be level set. That's what it's trying to do. So it's very tricky moving out of a comfort zone that's so good at relationships and relating to people. But I find that people who have South Node in Libra, they actually, while they can do the relationships, they struggle a bit with it. And that's the point, because they haven't shown up as themselves fully. And that is the trickster, is like, you absolutely, it's like, well, why do all these people, I mean, people like me and people, yeah, but are you being you? Or are you just camouflaging, or, just allowing yourself to be this chameleon, which Libra does very well. And it's saying, if you have a North Node Aries, you can't be the chameleon. Yeah. Otherwise, without that, Libra, it's okay, because that's kind of the function of what Libra wants us to do. It wants us to be able to have that reciprocal kind of energy. But it's never, no matter what, Libra is never asking us to forget about ourselves. And I find that people with Libra in the South Node, because remember, we talked about releasing. I don't want people to think, oh, does that mean I have to release all these relationships? No, it's not asking you to release. That's your gift, is the fact that you have the ability to create relationship. The issue is, the thing it's trying to teach you is, don't lose you. That's what it's trying to teach you. So the South Node Libra, I think, just even from a mental health perspective, and I'm real on this, you're gonna probably have to have things that really support your mental health with this, because our society is so heavily focused on others. We're very external in this culture, and you're being asked to do something very opposite of that. And so I think that having support, having people around you, because you do well with people around you, having people around you that are not just pulling from you, but that are in fact encouraging you to be you, is a really important part, so that you're willing to release the need to always constantly create harmony, or to people please. And sometimes people don't realize they're people pleasing when they have that Libra energy. The indecisiveness a lot of times is because there can be an indecisiveness with Libra South Node. That indecisiveness isn't because you can't make up your mind. That and it's one of the biggest bad stereotypes. It's not that you can't. You actually know your mind. You don't want to deal with the conflict if, in fact, you say something that somebody doesn't want to do. That's what's making it. So you just decide, I just can't decide, because now I don't have to be managing the conflict when I do tell you I don't really want to do that. That's a lot of what, yeah. It's tricky.
Yeah. And the gag also is that, having the Libra South Node and creating harmony is such a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, when there's a leader, there's more opportunity for harmony. There's more opportunity to have a cohesive group setting, or it just having that, like, but we don't often see it like that. We think harmony, everyone's on the same playing field, everyone is equal, everyone is, like doing the same thing. But that actually can create disharmony in the long run, in the long term.
Absolutely.
So so I can see very much how it is, like, when you just want to keep the peace and feeling like stepping into, oh, if I'm seen, then I might have to deal with when there is no peace. So this pairing to me feels very much like, how can I continue to foster peace while also still aligning in my truth? And to me, those skills, those are communication skills, those are leadership skills, those are, conflict resolution skills, all highly developed. Like, you can develop these skills.
Yes.
And learn how to step into that Aries energy, how to step into that, what do I want energy, and just see so many beautiful things transpire and manifest in your life. It's really,
Absolutely.
really, truly amazing.
Absolutely. And understand and trust that if in fact you have a North Node Aries, when you make that risk of stepping into leadership or initiating, the universe is protecting you in it, because that's your North Node. So yeah, it's actually, it's not a situation where you're going contrary to the energy of nature. Like, nature is actually inviting you. So it's important, to see astrology as nature, and try very hard not to get too caught up on, I don't know, it is mystical for sure. It is cosmic, but to put it in everyday understanding, it's nature, it's planets. It's, and so we don't, I don't, the only, I agree that like tornadoes and hurricanes and those types of parts of nature is like a little intimidating. Yes, but for the most part, nature, and even in that destruction, it's doing that to clear a path for something more and more, and necessary to keep nature in its homeostasis. So if you can just look at this and from a nature, because even if you take that risk that feels really uncomfortable, you've got the complete universe is literally supporting you on it, literally. So
yes, it is conspiring to help you out.
right.
It is literally conspiring to give you everything you want when you step out of that comfort zone. It feels so backwards, but when you lean into it, you're like, oh, that worked.
It worked.
It's so great.
It worked. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's step into now when the North Node is in Libra. Now your South Node, not the one you've mastered, but now when you have to step into the energy of being the harmony maker. It's your soul is learning that life is meant to be isn't meant to be lived alone. You're here to cultivate healthy partnerships, practice vulnerability, and discover the strength that comes through cooperation. Your greatest manifestation often arrive when you learn to receive as gracefully as you give.
So
And
I
I
want
love this
to,
one.
this is kind of, and I hope this doesn't feel too advanced. This is kind of personal for me. I don't have technically a North Node in Libra, technically. However, my North Node in Capricorn sits in the house that's associated with Libra. So I have a lot of Libra North Node tendencies and things because of where it sits. So this becomes a bit more personal for me, which is also why my son, you get my child, my husband, we're all in this cosmic constellation together. But at any rate, what you were talking about being alone, I think this is probably one of the toughest things for people who have Libra North Node, is you've been able to do it by yourself. Like, and you did it good. Like you killed it. You actually did it really well. So it's like, you want me to stop that? Like, I mean, why do I need to stop? Because I am super independent. I'm hyper independent. So much so that that's why we're trying to shift out of that. And how do I start being with others in a way that creates cooperation but doesn't allow me to lose my sense of independence. And I think that sometimes people with Libra North Node will feel as though they're going to have to sacrifice their independence, and
Mhm.
that's not it. It's what you were just saying. We always are being asked to be ourselves. Like that is the assignment. Like always, always, always. So it's not that I am losing my sense of independence, but I'm being collaborative. I'm
Yeah.
being in partnership. I'm sharing the success. Like I'm still successful, but we are now successful. So I'm not going to lose my sense of success so that you get your gain. And it can feel like that because Aries is in its shadow self. Um, it's heavy in the ego-y feeling, and it can feel like, well, if I'm not, then what is? And it's
Yeah.
like, no, we're really learning about listening. You're learning how to listen to others. You're learning how to compromise in a way of what compromise actually means. A lot of people compromise and put self down. Compromise is I'm still self, but I'm literally allowing the reciprocity to happen. I'm giving room so that the other self can also show up, so that we can do this together. So that, I guess the mantra, and I had wrote this down, is, I don't have to do everything alone. Like if you can remember that, I don't have to do everything alone.
Mm.
When there's and again, this is personal for me because my North Node, while it's Capricorn, it's sitting in the house of Libra, or the house that's connected to Libra. So I feel this a lot. And I constantly have to tell myself, I'm building Capricorn, but I don't have to do it alone. But I
Yeah.
can't, I'm good at it. I'm like, I could do this all by myself. But even being here with you, doing these master classes, I'm like, look at that. Yes, I'm like, this is that energy. So yeah, the North Node Libra is really about shared success. Um, Shared success. The other thing, and I say shared meaning you're successful and there's the other thing though that I don't know if I hear as many people talk about, is how the North Node Libra is also trying to teach you more about emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
And the reason I say that is Libra is really about how do we relate to people and relate to things and others from the heart kind of space, like from because Libra is ruled by Venus, and so Venus is that feminine, connected, very beneficent energy, and so the ability to emotionally understand people and not just to be kind of the external intelligence, but to really understand the internal. That's the other thing you're being called to. A lot of times when we're doing things very independently, that South Node Aries, we can think others, oh my God, they just don't get it, or they just this. It's asking, can you start to feel for that person too, so that the compromising, the cooperation, the listening comes from a more heart space and not so heavily on, well, I guess I just have to do this space. So it's so emotional intelligence is something also, and it's not to say that people with South Node Aries don't have emotional intelligence, but there is something about that you are needing to dig a bit deeper into. It could be really good to look at it from that way as well.
Yeah. And I think with Libra North Node, yes, it's about cooperation, it's about collaboration, it's about a reliance on other people, but also delegation and
Yeah.
how we can, like, this is going to sound horrible, but use other people as resources, as a collaborative effort, but being able to say, this, take this, own this, so that you're not taking it on yourself, and having the skill to be able to delegate out to facilitate that, the shared success that you were talking about. So it's more than, just being in the dynamic, but also creating the dynamic through the delegation, through, even asking people, hey, do you want to collaborate on this? And having those conversations about what it means to have, 1 + 1 = 2 in the group now, rather than like, what, I'm just going to do this myself, right?
Absolutely. Exactly. I mean, I think people who have Libra North Node, what's really great about it's funny. I have a client right now who has Libra North Node, so we're really working on this for her because she and typically our North Node sits in a part that is very opposite from our childhood rearing, very opposite of how we've had to survive in the systems that we've been in. Because again, when we come here first as children, as new beings, just leaving the other realms, like new kind of new beings, we gotta work on what we got, right? Like so what I got is my South Node, right? That's the wiring of the soul at this point. So as I'm working, so for her, we're working through this, and she loves to do not only hide a little bit because she actually is a little bit of a hider, but she's so successful. She's been so successful with how she's been able to do things on her own in a very high functioning way. But her level of fulfillment of life has been really off. So she's been able to fulfill the American dream of do the things on your own, which we preach a lot, but she's not having that full fulfillment. And so really helping her to also see the fulfillment. We're moving towards the fulfillment now. We're moving towards seeing people not as distractors or people that you've got to kind of do this to in order to get. We're looking at community now. We're looking
Yeah.
at how we facilitate, how you stand in that community in a way where people are learning themselves too how to be cooperative. Because once we get into the North Node of Libra, we're also helping other people as the collective to work cooperatively too. And you have the audacity more to do it because of that South Node of Aries. So yeah, it's another. They all feel tricky to me, but yeah.
Let's get into the South Node of Aries. So, the way I understand it is you come into this life with natural independence, courage, and the ability to take decisive action. While these are powerful gifts, your instinct may be to rely on yourself or rush ahead without considering others. Your lesson to balance your strength with connection, collaboration, and trust. And isn't that exactly what we've been saying? That it's, yes, I have, if you have the Aries South Node, you say, yes, I have the capacity. I can do this. I. But now we lean into the we lean into the group at large, the community, the group, those who are around you, the family unit, and expanding out into that. Not only can you create, can you achieve, can you like powerhouse like through everything, but now it's like you said, it's the satisfaction. It's
Yeah.
more, it becomes more meaningful, it becomes more rich, it becomes living life so deliciously integrated that
Yeah.
it becomes like it becomes this great catalyst for manifestation once you start reaching into the we.
Absolutely. Yes, everything you just said that really lovely. And I tell people with that Libra or well, Aries South node, there's a fatigue a lot of times it's going with the Aries South node too, because you have been hyper focused on your ability to do things on your own. And to be able to move into that Libra North node or to that collective now can also give you a bit of rest. It can give you the rest that you're craving, and you're thinking that you, again, all by yourself, need to just go more on a spa date. But in fact, go on that retreat with a group of people because
Yeah.
you're going to be held in that retreat in a way that you didn't think about. And then your voice is going to stand out really lovely for the collective because you
Mm.
have had these experiences of self. So there's a rest, a sense of kind of like, freedom also there, because Libra is about, it is about freedom. It's about the equity of energies. It's air. It's really trying to get us again, if we go into the elements again, let's go to the air. Let's breathe. Let's be more spacious, so that we don't have to be hold it all together ourselves. Very much so. Yeah.
And I love the balance of these two of these both these pairings. It's the I and the we. It's I've mastered I, now I have to go into the we, versus I've mastered the we, but can I step into the I? And how beautifully they work in concert together. Because when you step into the other realm, you're making your south node so much more beautiful. Like, when you have mastered the I and you're stepping into the we, your I just shines so much more. And when you've mastered the we and you step into the I, you just make the we so much more powerful. Like, I know I'm
Right.
keeping I and we, but it's just
Well,
like
well, no, but that's the axis. It's the I and the we. So every axis
yes.
kind of has the commonality, because the axes happen between the sister signs. So Libra and Aries are about the I and the we. So you are using the perfect language. And I think that's, for others who are trying to kind of pick up on this, because it can be a little confusing at times, always know that Libra is the we, Aries is the I. It is very much, and that is the integration. Whether you have North Node Aries or North Node Libra, the integration is the I and the we. Where do I set myself from I, from we? Where are those barriers? Where are the, not barriers, but those boundaries? Boundaries is another big part of going to, well, particularly if you're going into Aries North Node, because people who have heavier Libra energy, naturally, boundaries can be tricky, because you're trying to create all this harmony and relationship. But you still want to, boundaries are really necessary. Aries South Node sometimes can be a little bit too strict on the boundaries, because they're restricting, trying to keep it safe enough just for self to do it, because it's relied so much on self the whole time. And yeah, it's trying to get you to now rely on others.
Yeah.
And yeah, but know that you can still be successful and trust that. This is a
Yes.
really big pairing that I do also with Chiron and Aries, because Chiron and Aries works a lot like Aries South Node as well.
Oh my God. So I've got a couple of Q&A questions.
Mhm.
Let's dive into this one. So, what does balance actually look like going from the South Node to the North Node for these?
What does balance actually look like? I mean, balance is a word that I always put like a category under, which is alignment. So
Yes.
I think alignment is more what you want to be thinking about, is how do I align to my truth? How do I align to my desire? What do I need to put in order? How do I prioritize? Not so much half, but more of order and priority. And understand that if North Node is Libra, then my priority is going to be more of the collective and more of the shared success and more of the cooperation and partnership. If my North Node is Aries, then the alignment is going to be more about me prioritizing things where self and my voice and my opinion and my desire and my initiative is actually taking higher priority at this point. It's not to say that the others are gone. I'm not trying to do half is me and half is we. I'm prioritizing it in a way where I'm leading, I'm driving with, like, that car that's going, the driver's seat is going to be more of my North Node energy. Um, it's hard because we are absolutely driving with our South Node energy, but we're asking, hey, South Node, can we get up to be a passenger, maybe in the back seat? But we'll start with you being, you can be a passenger next to me. But yeah, I think it's more about alignment. So I like to use that language instead of balance. Yeah.
Yeah. And just the way that I also think about this is what does misalignment mean? And
Yeah.
for North Node Aries, that can look like arrogance, that can look like being selfish. That and so it is about walking that fine line of okay, where am I standing up for myself and putting myself first versus turning on that completely domineering
Yes.
persona
Yeah.
because we also don't want to go too far into it and come out of balance and out of whack in that direction too. And
Absolutely.
with the North Node in Libra, we also don't want to just, hand over all our projects and say, all right, I'm not doing anything, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
completely check out of participation because we still need to show up, we still need to give input, we still need to rely rather than just say okay, well, you do everything and I'm just completely detached from it also. So the alignment is finding what does that look like in terms of how can I step into the energy but also not overstepping into the energy and falling out of misalignment like that too.
Absolutely. You said it perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's do one more question. And let's see. This is great. Mm, I think all of these we've kind of answered. All right. Let's do one with the Libra South Node. And it's why do I keep attracting relationships where I lose myself? And I think this comes in with the alignment. This comes in with the part of how we want to keep the harmony, we want to keep the peace, we want to, but real true partnership, real true companionship comes from embodying who you are. And you said it beautifully earlier about, not feeling, not people pleasing, not always acquiescing, and showing up in your authentic self in terms of, yes, okay, this is what I like, this is what I want to do, these are my boundaries, this is what I stand for. And coming from that energy rather than like it's all about you. Let's do what you want. Let's watch the movies you want. Let's eat the foods you want. Let's go the places you want to go. And really standing 10 toes down on everything that you love and letting them meet you where they're at too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, everything you said, and a reason, one of the reasons why a Libra South Node will will have these relationships where they lose themselves or where they feel like that's happening a lot. And this is how do I want to explain this? Because I find myself saying this a lot to people. The universe is constantly giving us who we say we want to be or who we gloat to say this is who I am. So it's like, okay, well, let me give you that. And so it's going to give you these relationships that are going to make you feel like, yes, I'm going to be kumbaya all the time. But it's doing that so you can practice,
Yeah.
practice showing up. That's what it's actually giving. If we can look at it like like a game, like if I'm going to practice every week, I'm not going to practice every week just so we can practice. I'm going to practice every week so that we'll be ready for the game. And so that we'll be able to win the game. So the game is trying to get to this North Node, right? But we've got to practice. You don't just show up. Like you've got to practice going through what it feels like to, in fact, show up in a relationship. And not to say that you've lost each time, but it happens, it happens repetitively because it takes a bit for our conscious mind to catch up to what's really happening. So yes, we early in our earlier relationships, our younger relationships, particularly those who have a Libra South Node, yes, you probably did a lot of self-sacrifice in those relationships. but the way that nature is supporting us and source and divine and God and whatever you want to call it, they're giving us time. Like we said at the beginning of the thing, it's giving us time to get enough of the lessons. So now we have enough data and information to prove why I need to be moving more toward this other energy. So we
Yeah.
need these, we need, time is such a gift, but yet an illusion. Like it's this weird thing where it can serve as both. But the gift of it is to practice that, and so that you can bring the awareness. So if you feel like, oh my God, I'm always losing myself, what is that about? What do I need to do? What you need to do is kind of what we've just been talking about with Aries being the North Node. How do I start trusting my voice and trust that if I show up as myself in this relationship, yeah, this person may leave, but that is trusting that that wasn't then the partnership that was for you.
Yeah. And I love that you bring up that it's like you're going to be constantly put in relationships where you're going to exercise your Libra North or South Node. Like it's very much like it's going to keep repeating itself because the universe is saying, no, we want you to stand in yours. We want you, like, the universe does not make anything easy. Like,
No, no, because
it's
that's how it
conspiring
can
to help
work.
you,
That's
but it's not going to be like,
no,
hey, you win the game of life so easy.
no, no. And this is what's really, I'm so glad you just said this. There's nothing out here like to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, to become an NBA player, to become a singer, to become a mother, to become a there's nothing. We're very clear that, oh no, you need time, girl. You just had that baby. You don't know nothing. Like, we're very gracious with that. Like, we're like, yeah, of course, you don't know. You just had a baby. But for whatever reason, we flip the switch somewhere weirdly inside when we're working on some things of ourselves. It's like there's nothing that is out here that is just given to us, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
And we are always given the resistance and the contrast because we're also being taught resilience, and we're being taught fortitude, and we're being taught tenacity along with this. So the universe is just amazing at being able to do it all together. But we don't, I'm so glad you're just doing this so we can bring conversation around it, so we can start normalizing the hard and not making the hard feel like the bad guy all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with both of these pairings, I think it's really important to understand that, reaching for that North Node, ooh, it's gonna test you. It's gonna test you. But that's a good thing.
That's
That
good.
is a good thing.
Yeah.
Everything that is worth anything comes through a lot of sacrifice, a lot of challenge, a lot of pushing yourself to a new height. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible. That doesn't mean that you're bad if you can't do it right away. It just means try again, keep trying, and keep coming back to, this is what my soul is here to learn. And I would even venture to say, especially with this question with the relationship, I would even venture to say that people who have their South Node in Libra can also find this in friendships, can
Oh,
also find
absolutely.
this in, coworkers, or, in multiple areas of their life, but also to understand that, like, those can be leading up to your relationship. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be you're in the relationship where this is like you're exercising your right to have autonomy and all this stuff. It's like, okay, start with something that maybe has less what's the word I'm looking for, impact. Like, it's not as high stakes as a relationship,
Yeah.
right? Where you can start practicing in smaller areas, or even people that are just acquaintances, start practicing using the language of me, of I want,
Absolutely.
or I
Absolutely.
need, or I desire. And coming into that, same thing with Aries, South Node, start using language of, can you help me with? Would you, like, start with areas that are of little consequence, and then start building up to the things that really are the massive relationships of our life. Like, it doesn't have to be just jump in head first either.
Absolutely. And when you start getting really curious about your life and get still enough to start really thinking of the layers of the life, you will see that this is absolutely a common thread in every relationship you have. It's just louder because typically our romantic relationships are the ones that we, that really pull in the heart space a lot quicker. But it's happening absolutely. I promise you, I can guarantee friendships, co-workers, family, all of that. Anything where you have to relate, it's happening.
Yeah,
It's just we
absolutely.
tend to fill it more with our romantic because of the demand that has. But I totally agree with you. That's why it's happening like that. So that, I mean, it's those smaller stakes are so that you can practice. It is the training wheels. We don't put you on the bike, immediately. We put you on the tricycle. We put you on the little four wheel. We put you on these little things. If you can always revert, I always say I use a lot of metaphors because I want people to be able to see this is parallel. This is a mirror. We are living a hologram. Like, I mean, it is,
Yep.
everything is already there for us to see so that we can have examples that it works. Okay, it does work. It is okay. And so, South Node Libra, you are most likely, especially a person who is younger than 36 or younger than 40, you're on the training wheels. I'm telling you, you're on the training wheels, and I know it's frustrating. And you're getting on the bike. By the time you're 30s, you're kind of getting on the bike, you're wobbling. But baby, once you hit 50, like you're gonna be able to go on the ride. Okay, you're gonna see the ride. You're gonna have enough evidence. It's gonna happen, but you have to trust it.
Uh,
And I'm only able to say this like because I live with two South Node Libra people, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need you. It's gonna be all right. It'll be all right.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Kenya, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for your wisdom today. This is a great note to end on. All right. So thank you everybody for coming, for watching today's video. Our next one is August 13th. That is a Taurus Scorpio. That one's going to be so fun.
Awesome.
We've got, so I'm going to send everything out to everybody. So you'll get the replay at your inbox. Sign up for all of them, you guys. Come to all of them, okay? Because you know people in all of these pairings. Just a reminder, and I'm going to, again, send you guys in the show notes all the links to schedule a astrology reading with Kenya, to schedule possibly being coached by me and your manifestations. Like, all of that's going to be in the show notes. And so I hope to see you guys August 13th next week. It is a manifestation class that I will be sharing with you guys more details on as the week progresses. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. Take care.